The snow didn't fall that night. It pressed, like a weight from heaven, like silence made visible. Pines bowed to it. Shutters creaked beneath it. And the old road, forgotten and cracked, curling along the spine of Montana's northern mountains, disappeared. Beneath it there was no horizon. No moon, just a white world breathing heavy in the dark. A rusted Ford pickup rumbled through that white, its wipers squealing across ice glass. The headlights fought against the snow, casting only a few feet ahead. Inside, the heater coughed tired air. Jack Halston leaned forward on the wheel, knuckles pale. His wool coat was threadbare at the collar, and his stubble caught the flicker of the dashboard light. Beside him, in the nest of blankets and a too-big scarf, his 6-year-old daughter sat humming, quiet, soft, off-key. Her name was Evia, and her boots didn't touch the floor. Cold, baby? Jack asked. She shook her head. A pause. You. Didn't have to give that boy your mittens? He added, almost gently. He was smaller. She whispered. Jack didn't reply. He just nodded, like maybe that had been a lesson once taught to him a long time ago, and now taught back by her. They passed the old Miller Chapel without meaning to. Only he braked. Slow and uncertain because something moved near the gate. Not fast, not threatening, just there. Jack reversed, one tire spinning in the snow, and turned the truck to face the chapel ruins. The cross atop its stone arch had long since fallen. The pews inside were buried in ash and wild branches. But on the edge of the path, half-shadowed by a skeletal oak, sat a lone figure, still as frost, wrapped in a long coat. Rifle beside her. Boots planted like she'd forgotten how to run. She was watching the snow, not the truck. Watching the dark like it might answer something. Jack stared. Evia whispered, "Is she a ghost?" Jack stepped out into the wind. Each crunch of his boots felt wrong. He should have kept driving. There were rules to this wilderness. You didn't stop after sundown. You didn't invite trouble in. But something about the figure, about how she didn't flinch, didn't ask, made it impossible to walk away. He crossed half the distance. "Enough to be heard, not enough to threaten, ma'am?" he said. The woman blinked. Her face turned slowly, like thawing from some far-off place. Her skin was wine-burned. A fresh scar ran under one eye. Her hair, ragged and uneven, stuck to her jaw. She didn't speak. Jack tried again. "We've got heat," he said. "Dinner." My daughter made cookies. No change in her face then. A breath. A blink, a nod, that was all. Jack offered a hand, but she stood on her own, slow and stiff. She picked up her rifle, not aimed, not slung, just carried, and followed him back through the snow without a word. Evia opened the passenger door before he could. She scooted over, made room, and handed the woman the second blanket from the floor. The woman paused, then draped it across her lap, fingers twitching at the feel of wool. Jack turned the truck back toward the ridge. No one spoke. The snow began to fall harder. Their cabin stood where the pine gave way to rock. A low structure, part stone, part lumber, built by Jack's own hands after the war. Smoke curled from the chimney, thin and desperate. The windows flickered with firelight. Jack parked close to the porch and opened the door for the woman. She hesitated, not out of fear, but habit, as if she'd stepped across 100 thresholds too cautiously before. Inside, warmth touched her face and she closed her eyes for a heartbeat. Evia ran ahead, shedding scarf and coat. "I'll set the table," she called, proud. Jack held out a chair. The woman sat, still silent, still watching. She placed the rifle on her lap. "You from around here?" he asked, mostly to cut the quiet. She shook her head. "You got a name?" Her voice was hoarse, unused. "Leah." He nodded. That was enough. Dinner was too-thin but warm. Ivy had drawn on the napkins with crayons, stars, horses, stick people holding hands. She slid one toward Leah. Leah stared. Her hands hovered over the drawing. She touched the waxy color like it was something foreign. Her lips parted slightly. Then. She folded the napkin and placed it inside her coat. Asterisk they ate in near silence. Only the fire crackled. Outside, the wind knocked branches loose. Somewhere, a shutter swung once then stopped. Asterisk after the meal, Jack unrolled a cot near the fireplace and offered her a quilt. She took it wordlessly. Later, as Jack tucked Avia into bed, she whispered, "Is she staying?" Asterisk for the night, Jack said, Avia's brow furrowed. "She's sad." Asterisk Jack paused. "Yeah," he said quietly, "I think she is." That night, long after the fire dimmed and the cabin lay in hush, Jack sat alone at the kitchen table, watching the flames. Reflect in the window pane. Asterisk, he wasn't sure why he felt unease, not fear, not threat, but unease. Like something was off kilter, like the air itself was holding breath. Asterisk, he stood quietly, walked toward the fire. Asterisk Leah lay facing the wall, her breath shallow even, but Jack saw the edge of her coat fallen back, and beneath it bare skin marked, asterisk not. Just scars, torture scars, asterisk lines across her ribs. Puckered skin from a blade. The kind of wounds no army trained for, and no hospital truly healed. Asterisk, he stepped back before she stirred. His heart beat louder than the fire. Asterisk, the dog-old Briscoe who normally slept at Leah's side, now stood in the corner, tail down, watching her. Not growling, not wagging, just watching. Morning came as a pale bruise behind the mountain. Jack chopped wood before the storm could bury them again. Each swing of the axe was rhythm, release. Snowflakes melted on his brow. His shoulder ached from an old bullet wound. Italy, single quotes 44. Asterisk inside. He found Leah boiling water, kneeling over the stove like she'd lived there all her life. She didn't ask permission, but she also hadn't taken anything. Asterisk Evia held up her drawing again. This time, Leah with angel wings. Leah looked at Jack. "Your daughter's strong," she said, the first full sentence. Jack leaned on the counter. "Takes after her mother." Silence again. He didn't press. Late that afternoon, as the snow fell in sheets and dusk pressed against the glass, Leah stepped outside without her coat. Jack followed. He found her standing by the tree line, staring up the ridge. Asterisk tracks, she said finally. "Too deep for rabbit, too far apart for deer." Jack narrowed his eyes. She turned to him. Asterisk, "You have a gun?" He nodded. "Load it tonight," she said. Asterisk then walked back inside like it hadn't meant anything. When darkness fell again, Jack lit candles. The power lines would be down by morning. Leah sharpened one of his old hunting knives with the precision of a soldier. Jack asked no questions. Evia fell asleep in her lap. Asterisk and Leah, scarred and silent, held the child like someone who'd forgotten what warmth felt like. Outside, the wind screamed. Asterisk inside, the past watched from the corners. And something more than snow approached through the trees. Asterisk Jack boarded the last window. Asterisk and didn't ask why his hands were shaking. The storm had buried the porch steps by dawn. Asterisk wind howled through the eaves, and the sky above the pines churned like a sea of ash. White upon white smothered the ridge, and in every direction the land vanished into ghostlight. Asterisk inside the cabin, the fire had died down to coals. Jack stirred it back to life, his hands cracked from the cold, his shoulders stiff. Evia still slept, curled against Briscoe. Leah sat cross-legged beside the hearth, eyes open, unmoving. She hadn't slept. Jack noticed the rifle in her lap. Unloaded. But nearby, always nearby. Asterisk, "You see anything last night?" he asked, keeping his voice low. Asterisk, she looked at him, one nod. "Nothing more." Asterisk, "Close?" Another nod. He didn't ask what. He knew the shape of danger by the way her eyes scanned corners. That afternoon the storm thickened. The world outside became a snowless whiteout, no edge, no sound. The generator sputtered, then failed. Asterisk Leah moved with calm urgency. She filled canteens, boiled water, checked the doors twice. Her hands never trembled, even when Jack offered her tea. She didn't sit, she paced. Always near the windows, always watching the drifted ridge. Asterisk Evia played quietly in the corner. She drew another picture, the same image over and over. A tall woman standing in front of a cabin, arms spread wide, shadowed by a white sun. At one point, Jack found Leah outside, brushing snow from the satellite dish. "You don't have to do all that," he said. "I do," she said. Then she paused, watching the trees. Asterisk. "They don't know yet, but they'll guess soon." Jack's gut tightened. "Who?" he asked. Asterisk. She turned. "The ones who made me vanish." At dusk, Jack brought in more firewood. The barn stood half buried, its beams groaning. As he stacked logs, his boot kicked something hard beneath the hay. Asterisk. He bent down, swept the straw aside and froze. Brass, fresh, military, spent shell casings. 4 of them. Asterisk. Not his, not old. Polished, smooth, still smelling of powder. He held one up to the pale light bleeding through the slats. Asterisk. Then he heard something, not wind, not animal, a breath. He spun around, nothing, but his skin crawled. Asterisk. Back in the cabin, Leah sat carving something from wood, a small figure. Her jacket was off, sleeves rolled. Jack saw more scars, older. One looked like a brand. Asterisk. Evia whispered, "She made me a horse." Jack crouched beside Leah, placed the casing gently on the floor between them. "You expecting company?" he asked. She looked at it. "No." Asterisk. A long pause. Asterisk. "Where were you stationed?" Jack asked, voice tight. Asterisk. She didn't answer. She just reached into her coat and took out a small tin box. From inside, she pulled a pair of dog tags. He leaned closer. They weren't hers. He read the names. All male, 1 rank. Different divisions. He looked at her. "I buried them," she said, "not all at once." Jack's throat dried. "Why'd they come after you?" Asterisk. Leah's jaw clenched. Asterisk. "I said no." Asterisk. "To what?" Her voice came low, broken, something no one else said no to. That night, the wind dropped, and the silence was worse. Asterisk. Evia had a cough, not bad, but stubborn. Jack boiled water for steam. Leah pulled a worn pouch from her pack, unfolded it like a field kit. Dried leaves, oils, vials. He watched. Her crush herbs steeped them. Asterisk. "You were a medic?" he asked. Asterisk. "Before I wasn't." Asterisk. Evia curled against her shoulder, her breathing slowing after the tea. Leah rocked gently, humming not a lullaby, but a rhythm, like something from a faraway land, or maybe a barracks far from home. Asterisk. Jack cleaned the rifle. His shoulder ached again. Old wounds, never quite quiet. The fire popped. Then Leah spoke. Asterisk. "I once held a little girl like her. She bled out before morning. I still remember her grip." Asterisk. Jack looked up. She wasn't crying. She didn't even blink, just remembering. Asterisk. "I couldn't stop the bleeding. I tried. She kept saying she didn't want to die in the dirt." Silence pressed against the windows again. "I don't want that for her," Leah said, nodding toward Evia. Asterisk. "You won't." Jack said, but even he didn't believe it. Asterisk. At midnight, Jack couldn't sleep. He stepped outside. The snow had paused, not melted, not passed, just paused. The trees stood like sentinels. Breath fogged in front of him. He turned toward the barn, flashlight in hand. Every board creaked louder than it should have. Briscoe followed, tail stiff. Jack pulled open the door and saw nothing, no tracks. No prints, just hay and rope, but Briscoe growled. Jack raised the light, then stopped. Asterisk. Along the inside of the barn wall, pressed into the snowdrift, a boot print, wide. Deep, too big for Evia, too new for his, but no return path. One set in. Nothing out. He backed out slowly. When he returned to the cabin, Leah was waiting near the door. "They're testing your patience," she said. "They?" Asterisk. "They want to see how long it takes before you break." Before dawn she gave him the envelope, wrapped in twine, sealed. "If something happens to me," she said, "burn it. Don't read it." Jack turned it over. "You think I'll outlive you?" Asterisk. "I'm sure of it." Morning arrived in pieces. Gray light, heavy clouds. The forest groaned under weight unseen. Evia's fever had broken, but she was pale. "Stay inside today," Jack said. Leah sat near the back window, rifle across her lap. "They'll come when it gets quiet," she said. Jack didn't ask how she knew. He just nodded and braced the doors. Asterisk. By late afternoon, the wind stopped altogether. The sky turned copper. Jack stood on the porch with his hammer, fixing a broken shutter. He saw it first as a flicker in the snow, like a match struck in shadow, asterisk a light. Just once, far down the ridge, a signal. He turned back inside. They're here. The trees didn't move, not with wind, not with sound. But something shifted. Asterisk a tension in the branches. A breath held by the mountain. A stillness too exact. Asterisk Jack crouched near the fire, stuffing shells into the old double barrel. Leah stood, with her rifle cradled against her chest, her coat buttoned high, her face unreadable. In her eyes no panic, just readiness. Like a soldier long past fear, waiting only for what was owed, asterisk Evia stood in the hallway behind the kitchen wall, silent, as she'd been all day. She held her toy horse carved from scrap, its ear chipped. Asterisk Briscoe growled once, deep, not toward the door, toward the window behind Leah. She turned. Tap. A single knuckle against glass. Asterisk a figure stood just beyond the porch rail, half shrouded. In snow mist, not moving, not armed, just watching. Behind him another shape, taller, shoulders wide. Both dressed in black, asterisk military black, no insignia. No name. They didn't knock again. Jack's breath clouded in the room's cold draft. The fire didn't crackle. Asterisk Leah stepped forward and opened the front door before he could stop her. The men didn't flinch. The one on the left stepped forward. Voice smooth and clean, asterisk, Commander Halle. He said. Jack looked at Leah. She didn't blink. Asterisk, you were confirmed Kiar 3 years ago. Asterisk, I wanted it that way. Asterisk, the man nodded. You understand the implications of walking off a classified op? Her voice was quiet. I refuse the op. Asterisk Jack looked between them, the pieces falling in slow motion. Not deserter. Not fugitive. Not traitor, whistleblower. The second man stepped forward. Asterisk, we're not here for violence, he said. We need the flash drive. We know it's still in your possession. Leah reached into her coat. Slowly, carefully, she pulled out nothing. Asterisk, I melted it in a stove in Idaho. Both men stiffened. The first man said, You were entrusted. Asterisk, I was ordered. She cut him off. To turn children into bait. No one breathed. I was told their deaths would be strategic leverage, that their fear would trigger informants to move. I was told to let a village burn and smile for the press. Asterisk Jack stepped beside her now, the shotgun heavy in his arms. Asterisk, you need to leave, he said, voice low. Asterisk, the second man shifted, drawing something from his coat, too fast. Asterisk Leah shoved Jack backward, raised her rifle, and fired. Asterisk the blast tore through the man's thigh. He crumpled, screaming. Into the snow. Asterisk the other fired. Leah ducked, returned a shot, then vanished around the cabin's side. Asterisk Jack dragged Evia behind the couch, pressed her down, kissed her forehead. Asterisk, you stay here, no matter what you hear. Don't move, don't call. Asterisk her eyes were wide and dry, brave. A nod. He grabbed his axe and slipped through the back door. The snow swallowed sound. Gunfire was muffled. Echoes blurred. Asterisk Jack crept along the tree line, body low, heart pounding. Then he saw one of them moving fast, bleeding, furious, storming toward the shed. Asterisk from behind the barn. Leah stepped out. He didn't even see her raise the second pistol. One. Clean shot, chest. The man folded. Jack ran to her. You okay? Asterisk a grunt, clipped. Asterisk blood at her side. Not deep, but fast. He turned her toward the house, but she didn't follow. Asterisk, I have to finish this, she said. Asterisk, you already did. Asterisk, she looked past him. There were 3. Asterisk Jack blinked. Looked over his shoulder. A shadow was gone. Asterisk inside the house. The back door creaked open. Briscoe barked once. Evia held her breath. Asterisk a tall man stepped into the doorway. Face pale, rifle steady. His boots tracked snow across the wooden floor. Asterisk. He walked slowly toward the hall. Evia didn't move. But Briscoe did. He lunged. Gunfire cracked. Jack heard it. He ran, Leah behind him, limping, holding her side. Asterisk, they crashed through the front door just as the man staggered backward into the kitchen, blood down his arm. His weapon raised toward the hallway. Jack fired first. The blast knocked him flat. Silence, then a whimper. Evia stood in the hall, clutching the dog's fur. Briscoe was bleeding, but alive. Jack dropped the shotgun. Leah collapsed to her knees. It took 10 minutes to stop the bleeding. Evia sat beside Briscoe, hand on his chest, whispering to him. Jack wiped Leah's side clean, stitched what he could with shaking hands. "Let me go," she said at last. "No, Jack, no." Her eyes welled finally. But no tears fell that night. Snow fell again, gentle, slow. Jack stood in the backfield, alone, the sealed envelope in his hand. He didn't open it. He lit a match. Watched it burn. Watched the flame rise orange against the dark, and the paper curl into black petals. Ashes scattered into the wind. They buried. Leah behind the chapel ruins the next day. There was no priest. Just Jack, Evia, and the dog. Evia placed the little horse on the stone. Jack carved the marker himself. No rank, no title, just she chose light. Spring came late that year. The trees bloomed quiet and slow. Jack taught Evia how to plant potatoes. She laughed more. Briscoe limped but lived. Some nights, Jack sat on the porch and stared at the horizon, waiting for shadows that didn't come. But on Christmas Eve, he set 2 extra plates, one for Leah, one for someone who might still be lost. Evia never asked why. She just drew a new picture, a woman in the snow, smiling,